Hello there. Okay, next up is Gemma June Howell, and she'll be reading the poems of Kathryn Gray.
Thank you, so sorry about that. I thought I was going to be on the second half, so sorry, Leon. I briefly spoke to Kathryn and you sent along the poem, so I'm just going to dive straight in and read the poem that she sent me. The Pieces. Magnum of champagne, knitting needle, Soho rain, Murray's Club, a railway carriage, the bromide print. The baby, and all that blood, you crying out with joy, driving in a car, with Stephen the bend of a country lane, your hair greasing, the revolution will shortly begin. Your lovely legs will straddle what is not an Arnie Jacobson. Series 7, your face remain inscrutable. As you regard your face in that photograph, the architecture of paradox, Lucky had an axe, Johnny fired a gun 5 times at the lock. Now you rise in the dock, all the stories you've told as you draw the curtains, the ghostwriter sets down his tape recorder. When you pose for Stephen, his elegant hand across the paper, what a tender, brutal self-defeat is captured. Remember when the axe, the gun, or the Series 7 you straddled, not an Arnie Jacobson, no, not fully, knowing fully. Then, what's in a name, Eugene or Jack? You crying out in pleasure, crying out in pain. You rising from the pool, that rent red summer evening sky. At the job interview, remember your name, what's in a name? Assemble the pieces you own. Hesitate. Take his hand. Christine Sloane, you say. Smooth down your skirt and sit. Thank you.
Thank you, Gemma. Right, next up, we welcome back Natalie Ann Holborow to read some of her own work.
Yay.
So I've written 2 poems for this, and I actually found that this is one of the hardest things I've ever had to write, just because when I was researching it, I found I was becoming very angry. I think it's because all of the accounts about her are so negative. Even her obituaries don't give her a break. And it took me a long time to try and get into her mindset and find her voice, because I'm being conditioned to go against her. And I realised this is completely wrong. It's how we still are and why she's so current now. Okay, so this first one is called Photons. If you want a new face, you can paint it on. Slip colour along the knife edge of a cheekbone. Grease red along the round lips. Reinvent yourself. In the snug of a wardrobe door. Emerge again. Stinking of purity, you land like a coin through musty stations of Sunday morning. Tumbling, one roughened hand to the other. Spit and polish, copper cool. I tell him everything is a disaster. My cigarette smoke an angel, blooming enormously on the ceiling. Even the gods had done it. Belly rolled into bedrooms, tugged saints' hair, fucked mortals. But what of the slut who sits in her chair stilettoed? The heel named for a dagger. They say my walk of shame pocked circles around electric fences. My photo flat, sacrificial, flashing from photons to fiction. Gospel. Lost in a shrinking flat, radiators hissing. Radio on low, you dab at your palms to stem the bleeding. Tangy bread, spoiled apples, spilling their pips like scandal. A movie unspools from the VCR. Showgirl clenches a fist. Taken on the floor in 100 stabs, you're someone else's. Camera kiss. Clapperboard. The stiffening journalist's pen. A clothes horse straddles the kitchen, fugs the window with its nylon heat, a lover's tie, his tongue pressed against the arch of your mouth. Showgirl, he calls you, sign tacked to your back like a cross, howls across gossiping headlines, tantalizing dog whistles, and yes, many will call you showgirl, muddy your Keeler, whittle you down to a whisper, but as you snap back, the skin at your jaw is tight. Christine, you tell them, slapping away at the hand that catches your elbow, nuzzling its fingers into your hair. Christine, spitting paper, bold, gospel. Thank you.
Okay, and we welcome back up Gemma June Howell, who will be reading her own stuff.
Hello again. Right, so when Fiona asked me to do the Christine Keeler poetry, again, I didn't know who she was, but when I started looking into it, I found out that she was actually a working class woman who basically helped to bring down a government, the Tory sleaze. I was all over it, obviously. So, as a working class woman myself from a council estate, and my nan actually being a woman who come out of that council estate was probably hanging around in Murray's Club during the time, actually, and glamorised the sex industry, actually, because it was only one way that women could actually get out, make some money, and actually get somewhere. So, not that my nan was, you know, heavily involved in any kind of, like, sex, but I know for a fact that the lady who set up Ann Summers was, I think that she actually, you know, raised her money from some kind of sex work to begin with, and I know a lot of strong women and entrepreneurial women have. So I'd like to talk about how Christine Keeler basically used the position that she was in to try to get ahead in life. So, which is something that a lot of people are trying to do, especially women from working class communities. So anyway, I've got 3 poems now tonight. I'm just going to read them off and go for it. She invented sex. The hand built her a bike before she could ride it. She took it to peddle it to the corners of his grainy world. She breathed fires, conquered trees, rough and tumbled with Tombstone in Tom, Dick and Harry. The hand stuffed her with fiberglass, then stitched her up with thread so she daredn't tread beyond the hunger from his bed until, teen bled, no script, unwed, she ended up with a baby, gin dead. With the hand's final word, she rode across borders without tracks to the windows of eyes, with hopes of fame, a fashion sketch of Mary Quad-size. The scalps and their hands slapped her gem wax buttocks, smoothed her sanded thighs, a mannequin, a plaything for snollygosters in loose neckties. A fateful dip in the skinny pool, nude beneath a lecherous moon. She was paraded for the stiff with an upper crust lip. Was it kismet? Was it just a blip? After the hand put out his post-coital cigarette, slithers of glass pushed through from within, grew from her cheek, from her lids, from her tits, to score the crease of his pillowed peck. Cold blood cast a shadow of war between them. She invented sex in the 60s when the odd squeeze translated to sleaze, as news hacks licked up the lauded titles, bricked wombs and landed ranks of peevish prudes were toppled by a tiny teenage termagant from the wrong side of the divide.
Sorry, I'm messing it up again now, aren't I? Don't worry about it.
I never could follow the brilliant rules beyond.
Don't worry about it.
This one is called Learning to Burn the Slut, and it's more to do with kind of the press coverage which Christine had to kind of deal with. So, here we go. He died before bedtime, his queen had been checkmated, hated, her pieces seized, her defeat curated. Traitor-gated, he crossed class lines, porn-spined, sordid leaders, blue bleeders, scandal fielders, milked her for a homespun cryptic bilk, cancerous ilk. Smut hounds churned, readers learned to burn the slut. Yet, in the dandy darkness of her inward eye, she could not justify a fallen cry, a fallen spy. Ministers deemed courageous, necrophagous. Auntie Beebe silent and knew shy of the lie. Friends of winter lurked in the nerve-naked, giddy believers of famed headlines. Truth blind. And then the final one is called Woman. I am not your girl, not your baby, your sugar, your pearl. I am not your atlas, map, nor newspaper puzzle to be written on and written off. I am not a weapon to be fired, nor a gadget to be poked, then tossed in a cabinet. I am not your girl for you to call, nor a supplement to your caustic self, nor a shoulder, nor a ear to listen. I am not a hanky to wipe away your explosion of sorry ejaculation. I fought my way out of the womb, past the perils of my girlhood bed, through the history we have read, low bred, I have gone unfed, bled for these words to be said. Beyond the gaze of my Egyptian eyes, I can see clearly the bombshells of nihilism which occupy, nullify the shallows of your unexplored being. I am woman, a woman who has fight. It's been wonderful, and brilliant poets and lovely collection of women and feminism and awesomeness all in the same room. Cheers.